In this episode, we talk about muscle tone, longevity, and is walking enough for your health?
You ask questions, and we'll answer them. This is the Ask DVCC Fit and Active Show.
Hello and welcome to the Ask DVCC Seniors Fit and Active Show. So, this is Mark from the DVCC and I'm going to be answering some questions that have been emailed to us specifically to do with our Seniors Fit and Active and questions around that in terms of people being over 60 and above. So these questions specifically relate if you are 60 years or older. Okay, so the first one.
Why do I need to do resistance training?
Okay, good question, Judith. And the simple answer is, as we get older, from about 29, 30, we lose muscle tone. If we didn't do anything, we'd lose muscle tone each and every year ongoing. So which means by the time you're 60, or even older, you've obviously lost a fair amount of muscle tone. Muscle tone has been shown to be one of the biggest indicators and predictors of longevity of life. So in short layman's terms, the more muscle you have, the more in general, the longer in general you are destined to live. Obviously there's exceptions, but that's what the data says. So that being said, we obviously want to reduce the amount of muscle we lose, or even improve the amount of muscle that we have, and that's still possible. The older you get doesn't mean it might be a little bit harder, but it's certainly not impossible to put on muscle tone. We've had many clients at the DVCCs put on pounds and pounds of muscle tone, and they're past. We have clients all the way up to 81, I believe, and they're still improving. They're actually fitter now than they were when they were pre-60 because they hadn't done much. So one of the key reasons for doing resistance training is to increase your muscle tone. Now, like I say, it's without you doing resistance training, it's very, very, very hard to put on muscle tone. Going swimming, walking doesn't really put your body under the resistance that it needs to be under to increase your muscle tone. Your body needs to be challenged continuously and progressively for it to adapt and increase muscle tone. So in short, to live a healthier, longer, more active life, you need to incorporate resistance training at least twice a week in your weekly exercise routine to try and reduce the amount of muscle tone that you lose, but also increase the muscle tone that you have to increase your overall health. I hope that one answers that question. The next question we have is,
What is the most important thing for me to work on to stay fit and healthy?
So this question goes along with the one above I just answered, and the most important thing that you can do if you had to kind of boil everything down is incorporate some resistance training into your week. So if you've been doing lots of walking, resistance training is only going to aid that walking. It's only going to make you stronger, make you healthier, and make you be able to be more active. So a lot of people steer away because they think dumbbells are for 20-year-olds walking around in vests. That's actually, the reverse is really true. The older we get, the more important it is for us to incorporate resistance training and the more benefits we get from it as well. Not only will you increase your overall confidence knowing that you can pick up heavy things, which equates brilliantly to everyday life, carrying, shopping, all the types of things we take for granted. Because you're losing muscle, like I said in the last answer, every year, you find those things harder if you don't do anything about it. Now, what I'm saying is at 70, it doesn't mean you should find things harder than you did at 60, but we just assume that with aging, we allow it to happen. It doesn't have to be. You can take these things into control. And one of the easiest ways to take it under your own control is to incorporate resistance training with obviously a qualified professional to help you. Incorporate resistance training, and that will help you keep your muscle tone, if not increase it. And so that is why resistance training is the most important thing that you can incorporate into your active life if you don't already. Hope that answered that question. So, next one from Brian.
How much activity can I be doing?
So Brian, This answer is predicated on what you have been doing in the past and how active you've been in the past. If you've never done anything, you can start doing exercise for sure, but you're not going to be starting with at the finish line. So you're going to be building it up. If you've been very active up until now, there's no reason for you not to be as active. So, at age 40, you might have been training 4 times a week and being very, very active. If you've left it for for 20 years or so, you're not going to start straight back at 5 times a week. You're going to gradually build it up. However, that doesn't mean that when you get, taking you 6 months or so, that doesn't mean you don't finish up at 4 or 5 times a week like you were when you were 20 years younger. You very much can, but it's all about gradually increasing your abilities and your strength and your cardiovascular abilities to be able to get to the end result. So you don't want to go in all guns blazing and then regret it because you've pulled a muscle or whatever. You want to gradually build it up. But I'm going to reiterate, you don't have to be slowing down in terms of doing something at 40 that you couldn't do at 70, as long as you progressively get to that point. Okay, so like I say, the whole slowing down with age, that's not the case. That only is the case if you aren't keeping yourself fit and healthy. But you'll notice someone that's been active all of their life at 60 is completely different to somebody who has never been active at 60. We've actually there's a fair few clients that are, I think there was a good story, as someone said, there's a chap who's 72 and he was training with men at 40. He's 72, he's always exercised. The chap at 42 or so had never really exercised. Now, the 72-year-old chap completely outperformed the youngster because he's been active all his life. And apparently they were kind of almost swapping ages, almost swapping over. They didn't really realise who was the older, who was younger. But like I say, if you haven't exercised all your life and you want to start, you just gradually build it up, gradually increase the load day by day, and you will notice that you'll be able to get to a very, very good point, even if you haven't exercised before. So, a bit of a ramble answer there, but hopefully that does answer your question. All right, last question of this little episode.
I walk a lot. Is that enough exercise?
So, walking is brilliant for overall health, and brilliant for socialising, brilliant for a lot of things. But I'm going to stress again, really need to include resistance work to have an overall healthy kind of day-to-day. So if you're doing lots of walking, brilliant, keep it going, but try and incorporate resistance training because it will help you with balance, it will help with longevity of life, like I mentioned in my first answer, but it will also help with everyday living, like I say. So getting in and out, up and down out of chairs, carrying bags, doing DIY, all those sorts of things that we take for granted, they all require strength. Now, if you're not improving your strength, it's only going to be going down. So that's why resistance training is so important. Putting your body under progressive resistance. Every time you want to be trying to push it that little bit harder, getting a little bit stronger, doing one more repetition, one more squat, one more exercise, putting your body under a little bit, only a small amount of extra strain compared to what it was last time. And that's how you improve, and that's how you increase your strength and your muscle tone, which, like I've mentioned before, is vitally, vitally important for all of us to do as we get older. Specifically, once you get 40, 50, 60, 70, it's very, very, very important that we keep challenging our body to increase its muscle tone, just to ensure that we continue to be flexible, we continue to be strong, and everyday living is a cinch, as my father used to say, because you are strong enough to handle it. I hope that answers that question. I probably harped a little bit on about the muscle tone thing, but it's very, very important. Like I say, it's the biggest predictor of longevity of life. So, question of the day. Every week we'll ask you a question. Please to leave the answers in the comments below. My answer or my question today is, what years did you think were your best fitness years? Now, this is kind of a bit of a trick question because I want you to be saying, realistically, that your years now or your future years are going to be the best. But what do you think were what years did you put the most amount of effort into your health? I'm keen to hear your answers. Comment in the box below, and then I look forward to reading them in the comments. Bye-bye.